Test 1, 2. I think maybe you can hear me now. Possibly, perhaps, maybe. Okay, there we go. Okay. Like I said, we're not perfect. We're still getting some kinks worked out. So you can hear me then, right? You can hear this? All good? I just want to make sure that people can hear stuff before I actually try and get at this. Having a lot of issues with YouTube allowing me to stream right now. I would just like to take you through this, though, at this point. Okay. Just to make sure you can hear me, right? This light might be better, actually. Yeah, I think that light's going to be a little bit better. Much better. Okay. So far, so good. There we go. Still getting things figured out, guys. Give me a minute. There we go. That ought to help not cast a shadow, I think. Maybe it won't. I'm not sure. I'm not 100%.
Okay. So, welcome. Can totally hear you now. Sorry. Okay, that's fine. Just making sure, because I wanted to address a little bit about this. Was paying attention to the other conversation. Hey, that's okay. I appreciate you actually just being here. You are literally the only person who can help me figure this out. So thanks, Prime Dragon. I really appreciate it. Yeah, like it says in the title, this is I had a much better placed title before I had to shut that stream down because it literally shut off all my microphones. I wanted to default to my webcam, and my webcam mic is really not good. So, yeah, without further ado, this is my comic. This is a test version of my comic. And as you can see, the webcam wants to take everything for some reason, and it wants to make it backwards. I don't know why that is, but that's fine. I'll have to figure out mirroring and streaming in a minute, so maybe next time. I've been working on this for probably the better part of a month at this point. So I'll have to figure out why everything's mirrored and how to not get it to be that. But yeah, these things will come with time, I think. So we have ourselves a test issue right now of Engrave. This is my story that I am currently working on. I have it planned for about 60 pages, but we'll see. We'll see if we end up going past that, because I'm definitely doing at least 60 pages, but I don't know if I will be doing more or if I will be doing significantly more, because I like to tell very slow-paced stories, and my roommate and I actually talk about this quite a bit. There's nothing wrong with telling a slower-paced story, but I've read a lot of comics, but I've never drawn one of my own, so when it comes to the way that I tell stories, if you're familiar with like my other channel and my machinimas, I tell very, very, very long, drawn-out, slow-paced stories, with like pretty simple premises and pretty simple messages, so I'm also not someone that goes and puts a heavy tone theme in every single panel, but basically everything you were saying, I mean, you can see it right here. All this stuff is backwards, and I'm not sure why the stream starts backwards. Might have to find an alternative way to do that. But this is just to put the feelers out there and let you know that I'm actually doing something. You know, this is, I actually have a product in the works. And yeah, this is just the test issue. So if you're thinking, oh, this doesn't really look that good, I mean, it's purposely not that good. It's literally just, it's there to mark down, this is my idea, this is what I'm trying to do, eventually it's going to get better, blah, blah, blah. But it's to prove to you that I'm actually currently working on something. So congratulations, you're the only person who gets to see this. But yeah, today I have reached page 34, and the reason I decided to start with this drawing, this as my live drawing, is because I have to draw a very important page today. I have to draw the Sultan's Palace. And a little bit of context on my comic is, if you didn't watch my first video, the story is called Engrave, and it is about a guy who finds a sword with an unfinished engraving. And the sword, as the story goes on, it then ends up revealing more and more of the engraving, and it then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of wealth and the struggle of being in one's own way. And that's pretty much it. That's the very simple theme. I have chosen to not have anybody have names, not have anybody have labels or of any kind. And that's just a stylistic choice. I did name the desert, but I don't think it's ever really going to get said in the comics, so it technically doesn't matter. But I think that is just based on the way that I will actually end up telling the story. So that's kind of on me to make it interesting enough to where that doesn't matter. So we'll see. trying to get someone else in. There we go. Okay. Now I have to send one more message. Not sure why everything's mirrored. The link doesn't go to the stream. I wonder where the link goes. Oh, my link takes me to the stream. So. Huh. Actually. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. That's good. Odd. Let's do a sharing link. There we go. Can I ask if you can hear me? Is this mirrored for you? Because in my presentation, it's mirrored, and I just want to make sure it's not mirrored for you, because that would be inaccurate. If it's not, that means I don't have to worry about it. But for what I'm seeing right now, it's actually mirrored for me. And I'm just, again, I'm trying to use this first stream as a test, trying to figure shit out. Forgive me. I've literally never done this before. I did this on Twitch before, and I used to use open broadcast software. So looks good. Looks all. It's all the right orientation. I mean, the book is upside down now. I mean, it shouldn't be. Okay. Okay. We'll figure all this out as things go along. But as long as you guys, no, it's facing the right side up. Yeah, no. I mean, for me, it's upside down. For you guys, it should be. You should be able to see things and displaying people. Just want to make sure. Are people's faces facing the correct way to you guys? Okay, that's good. See, when I'm drawing it, I'm going to be like this, so things won't make sense and probably look too great. But I did just want to show you some of the pages that I do have done. We're actually going to go back a little bit because we have some new people here. So as long as you guys can see it, if there are any problems with volume or anything, like I said, be as vicious as you possibly can right now so that I know all the problems that I have to hammer out at a later date. I keep going to giving people the wrong shit. Yep, there you go. Thank you. I appreciate you. Wrong link. I'm dumb. Okay. Don't worry. I'm not going to keep all you people here for very long, though I do just want to take a second and thank anyone who is actually here. Hey, my name is Patrick. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you haven't, subscribe, because literally the channel is like 3 days old. A little bit about me is I am 25 years old, and I am now considering myself an amateur comic book artist. And what is most important to me right now, other than that you can hear me, is that everything is right side up, not mirrored. Hello, Noman. I appreciate anyone who's coming in here right now. We got 5 people. That is literally like more than I've ever had on a stream before. So yay. Again, though, I'm 25 years old, and my roommate about a month ago suggested that I start up a comic. And being someone who enjoys drawing, but never took it past just, oh, I enjoyed, sketching lewd doodles in my sketchbook. Having him suggest that I draw a comic kind of took me a little bit by surprise, because I never thought that I would be able to take it seriously enough to do that, to go to fruition and make fully like a story in image format. I'm more of a cinema guy. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a filmmaker. And after working with various film crews over the years, that's actually extremely difficult and very unappealing now, because it always ends up taking way too long. The people don't really know what they're doing. So maybe I've just worked with the wrong people. Maybe it's the area that I'm in, but my focus has shifted more on machinimation, cinematography, being analytical of films, that kind of stuff. Appreciate that, Daedrin. But yeah, I've got probably a couple dozen of these sketchbooks filled with half really crappy, half unfinished, half just not even started drawings of various things. And I figured if I'm going to take my friend's suggestion about drawing a comic seriously with no knowledge of how to draw a comic, maybe I should do a test version first. I kind of consider this like an outline. So I have more than half empty sketchbook, and this is my first sketch of my character. This was just a concept image, not at all complete. This is a couple more concept images, something I had a little bit more hammered out. You know, a test for the cover. I thought maybe a couple of shattered moons would catch people's attention. Another little bit more hammered out concept of my character, who literally has no name. Again, that is just a stylistic choice. I don't really feel, based on the way that I'm going to tell stories, that characters' names are important. I think that their status and their roles will speak for themselves as you literally read the story. So, yeah, about 15 minutes in, it is time, I think, to tell you about Engrave. So this is my proposed cover for Engrave right now. I've done a little bit more research, and I've had people who are way more professional at comics not tell me specifically, but inform me through their informative streams that there are certain things one can do to have an eye-catchy comic, an eye-catchy title. And you want to just, long story short, this is the front, this is the back. I wanted it to be one continuous spread. Because I'm doing it in a sketchbook right now, I have the intention of cutting this test issue out, copying it, maybe doing one copy where it's colored in like this and, you know, more darker, because I colored this in with colored pencil. The blues aren't as blue as I'd like them to be. The reds aren't as red as I'd like them to be. But the only thing that came out here the way that I wanted to was this little guy's cape and the word Engrave. And someone already saw this and was like, you know, in French, that doesn't mean anything, right? So I actually went to Google Translate and I put this in, and engrave or engrave in French just means in serious. So it completely doesn't mean anything, but the story itself is called Engrave because it's about a sword that has an engraving. And again, the premise is that this guy finds a sword in the desert that has an unfinished engraving that, as the story progresses, tells a self-fulfilling prophecy of wealth, successes, hardships, failures, and ultimately being in one's own way. So the theme of this is just being in your own way and kind of not acknowledging that. And that is about the only thing that I will pull from my own life, if I have to say. And I know the quality is a little weird right now. I'm still trying to find, again, the right lights, the right everything to do this for. But yeah, we start with him in the desert and everything, just kind of dropping some sand between his hand to really just hammer in the nomad concept that he's just looking for a direction, trying to find a way to go. And he will literally follow the wind following sand, the falling sand from his hand to pick a direction to go. And you'll kind of see what I mean. I'm just going to show you page per page right now what I got. That this is a story that people don't need names. The desert doesn't need to have a name. I mean, it's very clearly sand. It's very clearly this guy's a wanderer. He's got no purpose. The fact that I show him the most should show you that he is the main character. And people's clothing and like the locations will inform you of status and character. So it's a very vague story, but it's still pretty specific in how it's to be told. So that is my goal. If anything at any point is confusing to some people, well, too bad. I wrote the comics. So now you'll notice here all these lines too are very straight because I drew them all with a ruler, and eventually that's just going to stop because this is a test version. I was putting so much effort into boxes that I was getting less and less drawing done. I would maybe get this much of a page done in a day, and then I would do these 2 panels in another day, these 5 panels in a day, and I needed to speed up my workflow a little bit. So eventually it comes to the point where I start hand drawing boxes, and you can kind of tell because the edges of the boxes aren't as crisp. Things are still a little defined, but nothing is as informed as the first couple of pages, except for maybe this, because that's what things will look like when they are inked. Again, though, this entire thing serves as like the outline to a movie. It is extremely time consuming, right? And having never done it before, I figured it might just be better to get the idea out there first in a rough draft than trying to like work on hammering out a finalized concept, especially with me not knowing like how to draw comics. I know that there is a specific bunch of sizes of paper that you can use, and there's a format to do it all in. All of that stuff I am just not knowledgeable of yet. So we'll cross those bridges when we get to it. But right now, like I said, this serves as like an outline. In the final version, boxes will change, and that's okay. I'm completely fine with that. I hope that you guys are too. This might not be one-to-one indicative of the final product, but it's pretty accurate. I'm probably going to go very close to the same page layout, roughly like the way boxes are slanted or tilted here. There's a reason I did that in the rough draft, because I like the flow of events and the breakup of things. And again, I'm doing all of this with no formal training in comics, being inspired by people who are formally trained in comics and like 20 or 30-year veterans of the comic book industry. So this is probably one of my favorite panels so far, even though it's a rough draft. But yeah, today we have come to a pretty important page, and that would be in this town up here, right here, as a matter of fact. This is a Sultan's Palace. And as I said, my story does take place in a desert. It's a very vague setting, but some people's clothing and status is going to... Oh, I appreciate that. Some people's clothing and status is going to visually inform you, this is an important character, this is the main character, like you don't need to see this guy to know that this sign up here is an anvil and this guy's a blacksmith because he's banging on an anvil and he's looking at the sword. Basically, everything leads to informing you visually, and if it didn't, then I literally didn't do a good enough job and I need to try harder. So one of the things I will hope to do is, oh God, get a better webcam so that things are a little bit clearer. Yeah, I set a goal for myself though to draw at least a page a day. And that's back when I was taking a ruler to every single panel. And that was, like I said, it was getting a little time consuming. So I started hand drawing a lot of stuff. Just the panel wise, and it opened up formatting, and it opened up being able to rough draw everything a little bit quicker, because it is, again, it's an outline. So if things weren't drawn quickly, I would never get a full comic out there, and that would be a failure on my part. So yeah, we are on page, I think this is page 22, and we are currently on page 34, and I circled that little place, that little palace before, because I wanted to really show you guys, really hammer in the concept that what we are going to be drawing today, while this is still an outline, is going to be a difficult drawing. I'm going to be drawing a Sultan's Palace that I have never drawn before, and as we sit here, we're going to kind of use reference images and make up together. So that's going to be fun. Had to take a sip of coffee. Coffee is life. So yeah, if you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to ask. I'm going to be very lonely. Might be a tad bit distracted drawing. I'm also trying to see if having this light on helps. I don't think it really does. But yeah, maybe it helped just a tad. And as you can see, like I said, people's clothing and their status, this should pretty obviously be evocative of the Sultan from Aladdin, because he's the body type that I'm actually using for inspiration. But yeah. How many pages do you think this will be? Actually, I am planning for at least 60. And if you want to see right now, you see the page numbers down here. This is page 32. I have drawn up into page 33. And this is our main character getting led up a very large staircase behind the Sultan, looking up to realize, bam, this will be the palace. And no, while I don't have a storyboard, what I do have is this. This is actually how I am drawing my comic. In case any of you are curious, what I did was I took the couple pages and I outlined the entire story. This is how this entire thing started. I just drew this little landscape here. I drew the engraved sword comic, and I will read you this actually right now. I'm actually kind of pulling it out of my ass as I go. This idea right here is how this started. Set in a large dystopian desert, vast dunescapes span an endless horizon line. Grand structures and plateaus are dwarfed by sheer distance. And I've pseudo named this desert the Desert of S, and S stands for the ever-shifting sands, just because, I'm trying to be quirky. Yeah, what I did here is I've got these bullet points, and every time I would do a bullet point, I mark what page each bullet point represents. So you can see this one represents page 1. This one is page 2 to 3. Next one is page 4 to 7, page 8 to 11. And I just kind of use that as a rough guideline for a very, very rough guideline. That sometimes it might be shorter than what I wrote here. Sometimes it might go a little bit like a page or two longer. And that's just kind of depending on how I feel it necessary to tell the story. So you can see all these crossed out lines here are how far I've gotten in my story. And we have reached right here, which is where our hero is now washed, clean, fed, and in the Sultan's palace. So that is what we're going to be drawing here today. And we've got this and that. So it's literally 1, 2, 3.5 pages of an outline. It's 3.5 pages that is going to make up about a 60-page comic in total. But yeah. This is actually going to be a full page spread too. Not a full page. It's not going to be a double page spread, but it's going to be a full page to display like the grandeur of this guy realizing, like, that's why he's saying this. He's having this moment of realization going up this awesome staircase. Like, oh, holy fuck. Looking up at this grand place when he's used to wandering a desert for most of his life. So yeah. Without further ado, let's get to drawing. I have a couple of reference images here on Google Images. There's a specific building that I'm actually using to take inspiration from. And I'm just opening those images in new tabs. That's actually, personally, that's one of my favorite descriptors too, was the Sultan's Palace. I describe it as a grand place of alabaster and gold, and alabaster is a type of stone. So hopefully those simple descriptors help paint a nice picture in your mind. I'm realizing my page numbers are blurring out because they are all drawn in pencil. Okay. So yeah, let's get to it. All right. I know this is what y'all came here for, right? The actual drawing part. And you might notice my my character wears a cloak. I do just like cloaks quite a bit, but it also saves on drawing a lot of details a lot of times. So Got to decide where the front of the character's hair is. All right, that was easy. And if you guys have any tips or anything, at this point, you guys are the driving force. The audience is the driving force of the stream. So what I'll probably do is I'll have this one go for about an hour. We'll see how far I can. I'm fairly confident that I can actually get this done in about an hour. And no, I have never tried digital drawing except at Best Buy. I tried using one of those digital art pads once, and there is a physical disconnect that I couldn't get over. That might have just been the pads at Best Buy, though, because I was under the assumption that you were supposed to be able to see on the pad what you were drawing, but that was not the case with the pad at Best Buy at all. Yeah, the pad at Best Buy was actually like you would trace on this blank page like this, and it would show up on the screen in front of you, and it was weird. The mental disconnect of that was I took some getting used to, and by some getting used to, I just mean I couldn't get used to it. It's pretty admirable if you are actually able to draw like that, because like I said, there's a mental, or rather there's a physical disconnect that translates to me for something mental that I just can't get over. Art is also not something that I think is, I don't think art is like difficult to do, but I will definitely say that I have, my niche is more in, like, you can see scribbly, sketchy art. Some people like to do just really clean lines. My inspiration comes from like the back of video game boxes and stuff, especially Morrowind, where everyone's like a lanky, scribbly line character. So, as I said, if you can forgive the whole light and lack of detail at the moment, I will improve this in later streams. I will work on improving this. So. Okay. Now we have to do one of my freaking least favorite things to do. We have to do a perspective drawing. So it's time to, as you pointed out, pull shit out of our ass. So Noman, you have a drawing pad. Is it you should have took you about a week to get over that disconnect issue. Is it really difficult to overcome that hurdle? I mean, like I said, I've only used the thing for a very limited time in Best Buy, so I wouldn't exactly know. That one might not be good. This one is good, though. Okay. I can't say that I haven't been interested in it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have tried it out in Best Buy. I actually went there pretty recently looking into those, and it was just the fact I'm someone who really likes to like hands-on a product before I get it a lot of times. So if I can get it in a physical store, I absolutely will, over ordering it online. And that's not to say I don't order a tremendous amount of stuff online, because it is just so much more convenient. But if I do have the option to, like I said, go into Best Buy or something and try the product out physically, I absolutely will, with exception to a few things. So yeah, don't worry about that, though. I'm not going to go taking somebody's technology. I appreciate the thought, though. Maybe next time we actually do a stream, I will know how to do it better, so that I don't have to cancel the stream halfway through. The quality is actually clear, and people don't have to worry about clarity or things like that. So you can see the little details that I'm actually doing. One of my biggest struggles is actually drawing straight lines. My hands constantly want to go. Okay, now I've got to draw a bunch of little tiny windows. So you can see the shape of it starting to come together. It's basically just a guy looking at a big palace, big wall. I literally Googled Sultan's Palace about a month ago, and I picked all these select images of specific places to kind of copy the architecture of, to keep everything consistent. So even that little shape I showed you on the hill is what I'm trying to recreate here with said images. So one tough thing about drawing a desert too is getting sand correct. It's very difficult to get sand right without just making it look like a blank white page. So keep having to reference this one image of windows so that I know just how to draw them. I guess we'll start in the center. Why not? I'm so happy I only have to draw this all once. Well, technically twice, but for now, once. Yeah, we got windows. Yay. 3 down, probably about 300 more to go. Try and be a little bit quicker about the placement of these things without foregoing all this detail. I just wish this artifacting and blurriness would stop, but I think that's just pencil and how it translates onto the stream. So I'll have to find better light sources, maybe a different way to do this in the future. But I wouldn't have gotten to know that if I hadn't done this at all. So first things first is to do it and get that stuff out there. And Noman, you were the one who asked if I do have an outline, but if I am doing like any kind of, am I just pulling stuff out of my ass? The design of the building is just kind of happening as I draw. You know, could look good, could look bad, but that's the best part about this being a rough draft is I am using real reference images. So I do have the option, NOMAD COMICS, to remake and recreate the images when I do go to redraw. And I surmise that is most likely what I'm going to do, is take my time and obviously use a ruler to plan out the actual physical attributes of the Sultan's Palace. For the most part, other than this one image of the outside, the rest of its exposure is on the inside. So, like visually, the rest of the exposure in the comic is the inside of the palace. And the architecture of the outside, while it doesn't necessarily inform what I'm going to be drawing next, I think it's still important that you have at least one good shot of the entire place to set up where we are going to be. So the main goal here is to convey an appropriate sense of scale. If we do that, we did that right. Okay. So far, so good. Man, this place has a lot of windows. I'm making it up, so I could decide how many windows it has. And I think that it has a lot of windows. I think that's also part of its charm. It really needs to, just to kind of convey how much money this guy has, how much like unnecessary wealth this man possesses because he is a sultan. Man, this quality really is shit, huh? Don't worry, afterwards I will do a nice panel spread. Actually get the camera to focus on it and look into alternative methods of doing this in the future. There's no point in doing it if you guys can't see it. So Quick fix. Nice. Man, time flies when you're paying attention to drawing, huh? Okay, so far so good. We got a building with a bunch of windows. It might just be a box, but it's a special box. It's starting to come together. Good news is you won't have to struggle, or rather, you won't have to sit there and watch me struggle with drawing every single window every single time, because I will be working on a lot of these panels not on stream. So every time I do stream, I will have something new to draw, because otherwise that would be extremely boring. Also, it makes it very hot with all of these lights. And I have had enough of being hot this week. I don't know where you guys are in the world. If you're in Europe, I'm sorry for you. You're basically on fire right now. Over here in America, we were dealing with a terrible heat wave recently. The heat was okay, but the humidity was not. That was not all right. That was like a crime against nature. That is actually nice and cold. Where are you located, Noman? I'm just curious. That it's 11 degrees Celsius. I'm trying to inform my decisions. Oh, New Zealand. Man, you're in a really pretty part of the world, huh? Hey, is all that Lord of the Rings stuff still there? Like, didn't they leave all the sets from Lord of the Rings just like built in the middle of New Zealand? Is that all still there? Used to have a camp counselor that was actually from New Zealand. She was a huge Lord of the Rings nut. She kept showing us pictures of I don't know, the horse. There's one like part of that movie where what the hell is his name? I don't know. Legolas and Gandalf and all those people go to this town, and it's like a big town on a hill, and the entire thing was just built, including the hill, was just built like a falsetto town, a falsetto hill. And I remember just being like, wow, that's an insane amount of set design for a film. That's crazy. It's all still there. That's pretty nutty. Ooh, toasty. Nope. I am just now realizing I have gone over the hour mark, so I'm trying to finish up these windows over yonder, and then I think we're going to call it for the day. Not too much, but not too little. That one window is a bit too low. All right. And after an hour and 4 minutes, that is what we have. It is not perfect. It is far from it, in fact, but you can see that the rough design is there. And we get this from a collection of, let's see here, exactly where it is. Yeah, we get that from this. And I forgot to draw the giant dome on the top. So I guess we will finish with that. We'll add that and then we'll call the stream for the day. Look at you being a trooper, staying throughout the entire thing when you didn't have to. Too boxy. I'll actually have to draw the interiors of building, or the interiors of these little doorways then, so you can actually see inside of it. Like I'll actually draw some finite details, like the edges of the shadows of the corner of the room or something. So you can actually tell that you are looking into something rather than just staring at a box on a hill. This is about the time my pencil usually breaks. Let me reference something here real quick. And this is how we will add a little bit of perceived depth to certain areas. There we go. I'll have to go through and add more details like this. I did this on the Market Street panel where I drew the insides of shops that were all the way down the road. I also spent like an entire day drawing those panels, so. You can see what I'm doing down here too. Now, in that room, you can kind of see that there is more of an interior. You can't really see because of the hallway, but right there, we're going to be doing that more on these windows. We're going to be framing out the insides of what you can see in these rooms. Probably not going to do that on stream because, like I said, it's starting to get a little warm in here, but that is how I'm going to add some perceived depth to this boxy building. And two, when I draw the final version, I'm going to be more one-to-one copying the live reference images that I have, or the reference images that I have, rather. They're not actually live. That would imply that someone's broadcasting this. It just so happens to be that the palace that, I'm not making an excuse, trust me, just being lazy. The palace that I chose to draw when I literally Googled Sultan's Palace, for whatever reason, they run really tight security on the place. And I think that the public is only allowed within like a certain distance. So I have resorted to looking up satellite images of the place just to get a little bit closer. Because like I said, it seems like people are kept at a distance of like the reason I drew it from this angle, it's because all the pictures I saw were about that far away of someone standing like behind a fence or something, looking at it and just being like, oh, I guess they're not really allowed in there. I know that there are there's some caretakers and priests that live on the property. You know, leave it to me to choose the one palace that you're not friggin' allowed into to copy and draw off of. I mean, it just looks so nice. I'm not the biggest fan of perspective drawing. It just takes it's very time consuming, but it does help. You are correct to add a lot of depth to an otherwise very flat still image. And now you can see our building is looking just a tad bit more like a building, even just drawing some extra shapes inside of extra shapes. And down here, we drew more of an interior. And we'll flesh that out. Literally, I will go every individual window to window, and I will start adding three-dimensional depth and shape like windowsills and stuff. So you can actually tell what the perspective of all of this is meant to be. And once I get past this panel, I'll actually get to draw the inside. With that being said, I actually think I'm going to call the stream here. So I think maybe just facing this around for now, reveling in what I have managed to accomplish. That's good for now. Like I said, for now, I will probably either work on this more tonight or a little bit tomorrow morning. I'll end up flushing out the ground so it's not just a big white image. I'll add some bricks to this so you can actually tell it's like the top of a gold dome. But yeah. So far, that's what we got. Takes me about an hour to do roughly that amount of detail. And we go from Sultan showing up, snapping his fingers, getting these three guys arrested, and then saying, "Take this one to the palace." And we have a nice little panel of the Sultan leading his horse and our friend here up a giant staircase. And then him following the Sultan up said giant staircase to the big reveal of bam. I'm glad that you stuck around this long, and I truly appreciate it. Like I said, we're going to get some stuff hammered out in the next stream. I will probably look into using open broadcast software and setting up some things better beforehand. But yeah, thank you for helping me figure this out. It's a trial by fire kind of thing right now. So yeah, without further ado, I want to say again, thank you for tuning into the stream. Next time, maybe we'll get some more people in here, and maybe I can get some of the actual comic skaters in here and get a little sneak preview about what I'm doing. I will work on this more either tonight or later in the morning, and next stream I will start by showing this off. And yeah, Noman, I just want to say again, thank you very much for tuning in. And yeah, I have some editing to do, and I think I've got an old 6-minute stream to delete. So I will see you next time. Thank you again for tuning in, all right? Peace.